Good Friday morning. Welcome to Ocala Talks. I'm your host, Tom Schmitz, coming to you from the studios of WOCA Radio, located just off the runway at the Ocala International Airport. I'm joined this morning by Life South Galen Unall, brought to you by Palm Garden Health Rehabilitation Center, Penn Flooring, and just shipped. Galen, a little different this morning. You were supposed to join me a little later in this morning because you were supposed to be in Orlando at the Mecum car auction. Kissimmee, excuse me.
Yeah. Well, COVID kind of killed that.
Another victim of COVID, the Mecum car auction.
Yeah. Well, the Mecum car auction's still going on. It's just my live broadcast.
That's what I'm saying. That's all that we care about. It's your live broadcast. What do we care?
Yeah, there was just no way my voice would have lasted that long. Just no way. No way.
So
it's sad because it's the highlight of my year.
You really enjoy, like me going to the PGA Tour show at the Orange County Civic Center, the Convention Center. You like Mecum the same way I like the PGA show.
Absolutely. I had Mecum and everybody down there. You know, we've been doing this. This would have been our 5th year being a part of it, and they had sent me my book, and I had talked to David. JK was going to come on the show. Because they're really excited about the auction now being on Motor Trend. I love Motor Trend. It's the equivalent of Lifetime for you, because I know how much you love the Lifetime channel.
No, I'm a Hallmark channel. I'm a Hallmark channel guy.
Hallmark. I'm sorry, Hallmark. I watch Motor Trend probably. If I'm watching TV, I'm watching that. I think it's fantastic. So it's sad because I'm not going to be able to see some of the incredible cars. I'm not even going to be able to go down there. It looks like I may try to get down there next weekend, but we'll just see how I feel. So I don't want Mecum to turn into a super spreader event because of Galen Unall.
Because of Galen Unall, exactly.
Mecum isn't. Yeah, I mean, Mecum, let's be very clear. It's just that there's 4,000 cars. You'll see everything from an Austin Healey to an H1 that just was released by the federal government, and you look underneath it, and you can tell that it was shelled in some way. It's really quite incredible. It's an incredible. If you love cars the way I love cars, there's no place better.
I was watching NBC Sports over the weekend, NBC Sports Network over the weekend. They had a Mecum car auction going on. You know, they tape them and play them on NBC Sports. And I was watching a 68 VW Beetle.
Yeah.
Went for a bunch of money. I was shocked. I was like, it's a 68 Beetle.
It depends on which one it is. 68 is a pretty interesting year. There must have been some provenance to it. So the 68 Beetle is the model right before Herbie, and then the Herbie model, depending on which upgrade you get, is pretty incredible. You know the VW bus, the 12-window VW bus?
Oh, yeah.
VW is bringing it back.
I know.
There's a new version coming out in 2023 that old bus, if you sat in it, it literally would cook you.
Had two windshields because it wasn't a windshield with a piece of metal down the center. It literally was two pieces of glass that were the windshield.
Right, and if you sat in it in Florida, it was an oven. But they're bringing that back, and it's an all-electrical van.
Here's what they need to bring back. They need to bring back. I had a 1979 four-speed VW pop-up camper bus.
Oh, yeah, the old school with the fabric that would it's known it within inside the car people as the accordion.
And that's what it was. It would accordion, and it would only the front end, only the front of the camper bus popped up. The back stayed solid, and you popped up to the top of the camper. And let me tell you something. There were many, many nights that we would leave Statesboro, Georgia, in that VW van, and we would go park on the 4th deck of the parking garage right there on Bay Street, because it was only 4 stories high, and the 4th story was open air. It was the top, and we would pop that up, and then we would leave, and we would just get hammered. And then we'd come and we'd all pass out in the VW van and sleep because we had a room. The VW van was the room. Man, I drove that thing up and down the East Coast following Dave Matthews in 1996.
Sure.
My wife and I, my first wife and I, drove it into New York City for New Year's one year. Stayed in Manhattan with the bus and everything. It's a fantastic vehicle. Fantastic vehicle.
Well, and if people ask how many people does it fit, as many as
you could get in there. That's how many.
And again, and I think that's what, because my wife is starting to understand why I love cars. I just think to me, they're the best thing that man has made. When you look at it as a positive, as a net good, cars are by far and away the top of the food chain.
The horseless carriage, better than any other invention in the late 19th century or 20th century to me.
And this is according to Galen. I think it changed. If you look at it, it changed not just our country, but it changed every country. The ability to independently transport yourself, goods, and services, and it opened up the world. Before the car, the average person never left their zip code.
Right.
And then now because of the car, you could drive anywhere you want.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story.
And I think it's just awesome.
Tell you a funny story. In 1914, there was a golf course laid out that was not in any city at the time because it was outside the city, still is, but it's called the Keystone Heights Golf and Country Club now. But Donald Ross was charged by one of the Standard family to come build a golf course for them outside of Melrose because they all vacationed in Melrose on Santa Fe. Sure. This was a big vacation area in the late 19th century and early 20th century for the very wealthy. The Melrose area was a very big. Ocala, for that matter, was a very big vacation spot. But these guys paid Donald Ross to come out in 1914 to lay out this, and they were wealthy, but to lay this out. But because they lived up in New York, and all, they didn't ship their cars down to Florida. And cars were still a rare thing in 1914. Although Henry Ford had made the Model T and everything, there wasn't millions and millions and millions of cars on the road. They literally figured out 7 miles from the Melrose, where they lived in Melrose, to where the Keystone Heights Golf Course is laid out. That was a 1-hour buggy ride. And so they could get there, and they knew their wives wouldn't come for the 1-hour buggy ride.
Oh,
and that's why they laid the course out there, because it was too far for their wives to come bother them on vacation.
That's awesome.
And that's how that golf course.
By the way,
that's how that golf course opened in 1917, was because it was laid out 7 miles from Melrose. Because back then the roads were very primitive, even though there were some roads from Melrose to Keystone. It was ruts and stuff like that because roads weren't built yet. Cars weren't that popular, and it was a 1-hour buggy ride, and that was too far for the wives to come bother them. So they laid it out there.
And that's fantastic. And again. Without women, if it were just men on the planet, we would still be in camp and be fine with it. We wouldn't even draw on the wall. We would just sit there and look at each other.
Exactly. We literally would live in dugouts and caves, no problem. If it wasn't for women.
I mean, are we fed? Are we fairly warm? Yeah. There would be no reason to do anything. What's the point?
But that VW bus of mine, it was one of the best vehicles I've ever been party to have owned. It was fantastic. And the motor finally blew up in it in like 1997, 98, something like that. And it was donated. It was donated to one of those, we got the things in Georgia where you donate your abandoned or junk cars.
Cars for kids.
Yeah, cars for kids. That's what it is. Yeah.
They that bus, even in '96, was pretty valuable. I mean, that's a
not with a blown motor. Not with a blown motor.
Oh yeah, you can. You know how easy you could fix a VW motor.
You know who you're talking to, right?
Well, that's fair. Your dad could have fixed it.
My dad could have fixed it, but he made sure that I never knew how to work on anything.
Well, I understand.
Although I know the lingo and I can recognize things when people are working on them. Like, prime example, the neighbor across the street from us the other night, he's got the lights out. He's got the driveway lit up. He's got the front tires off of his truck. And I hear him over there, and I look, and I see him. He's got a ball-peen hammer, and he's beating the inside of the wheel hub and everything. And I go, huh, he's doing ball joints. I yelled over. I go, hey, ball joints? He goes, yeah, these some of my – and he went out, you know. I knew he was ball-peen hammer beating on the inside of the – had to be ball joints, trying to get it – break it loose so he could replace it.
Yep.
I know enough. Yep. I know enough to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Have no clue whatsoever.
Well, you know, and I've worked on cars. It's just, I'll be completely honest. It's so much easier to just take it somewhere.
Take it to Matt Gibbs. Get Matt Gibbs to work on it and come back and pick it up.
Exactly right. That's what I was going to say. Just go take it to Matt Gibbs. I mean, I've changed the discs and the disc brakes. I've changed the pads. I've put in alternators.
Not me.
You know, I put in starters. There's just some things it's just not worth it. Like just rotating your tires would take. If I was to try to rotate my tires, first of all,
you have to have two jacks. You'd have to have two jacks.
It would take all day.
Well,
all day because I just don't have the equipment.
You know how I don't. You know how I don't care if people think I'm useless or not. I don't really care what people think about me. I worry about what I think about me and what my wife thinks about me and what my family thinks. And other than that, I could care less. So I'm going to tell you a story, and you're going to know that that's accurate. I'm so bad at car mechanicking. I've had to call a friend of mine, Craig Stewart. You know Craig. You know Craig.
You know, he's still trying to grow hair.
I had to call him one day and say, dude, I got nothing on this flat tire. You're going to have to come help me change my flat tire. I got nothing. I had no jack. I had nothing. Don't know why I didn't have it. Don't know. And then he gets there. He says there's a locking hub on it. What are you talking about, locking hub? I don't even know what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Craig Stewart, literally, like a woman, I was standing on the side of the road waiting for a man to come change my tire.
Well, you know,
I'm not embarrassed by it.
I'm not embarrassed by it. It's easier. And a lot of cars don't come with spares anymore because of the weight.
Right.
Yeah, my son's car, his Elantra doesn't have a spare.
Well, there you go.
You know, he's just got the
roadside.
Got Geico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to take.
You know, if you take care of your tires, you shouldn't have a flat that you can't at least drive.
No, I rotate them regularly and everything like that. I do the proper maintenance on them. So, you know, I do the penny test when they get below Abraham Lincoln. When they get above Abraham Lincoln's head, I go buy new tires.
You don't. You just when the guy tells you to buy tires, you just say okay, and then you buy the cheapest Chinese ones made.
No, I actually buy cruising tires for that Cadillac that are pretty expensive. Yeah.
Oh, that's a big baller.
Yeah, it's the ride, pal. You got to have the ride. That's all I'm saying. You got to have the smooth ride.
What's the point? You are absolutely right. What's the point of having a nice car if you're gonna junk it up with bad tires?
That's what I'm saying. You got to have the tires.
Are you brand? You know, I am fairly brand loyal. What is your tire of choice?
Goodyear.
See, now that's interesting. I'm a Pirelli guy.
Well, yeah, you're a racing guy. Well, you're a racing guy.
Because of F1.
You're a racing guy. Pirelli. I'm a NASCAR guy. Goodyear.
If I can put Pirellis on the car, I'm getting Pirelli.
And if I can put Goodyears on the car, that's NASCAR. I'm putting the Goodyears on there. See? It's fair. Let's take a break.
You're not going with the Hoosiers?
No. That's Indianapolis. Not doing that.
Remember there was a tire war on NASCAR with Hoosiers.
There may have been, but Goodyear's it. Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be right back after this timeout. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
Embrace Magazine is boldly uniting lifestyles as the first ever and only gay magazine in North Central Florida, based right here in Ocala. Recently honored as Best New Magazine, Best Overall Magazine, and Magazine of the Year, all in our first year by the Florida Magazine Association, our mission is to unite the gay and straight communities through exceptional content appealing to all. Hi, I'm John Sotomayor, publisher and editor-in-chief. Tune in to our radio show on Wednesday, January 12th, 10 a.m. here on WOCA. To read our digital issues, follow us on Facebook and visit our website at embracemagazine.us.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Friday, Galen Enoff from Life South joins us. He does every day, brought to you by the good folks at Just Shipped, Penn Flooring, and Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center. Galen, we got the Clinton Porter story I want to get to, but before we get to that, I want to get your thoughts on the CDC. We got to go back to these guys. The CDC says that the Omicron variant is affecting children under the age of 10 in a new way.
Yep.
But I don't know how the hell this is a new way. They say it is creating harsh barking cough known as croup. How the hell is that new? The croup's been around forever. I've suffered from the croup numerous times. Anytime I get bronchitis, it can become the croup, and I'm an adult. Children have been suffering from the croup for thousands of years. How the hell is the Omicron variant making it new that kids are suffering from the croup?
Well, if you, I don't know. I mean, granted, anybody who's had a child and they have that, it's just one of the worst sounds of all time.
Oh, it sounds like a
parent,
Canadian geese honking.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
You want to do anything you can to help them. But I don't know if exposing them to a vaccine that we don't know a lot about. Look, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't know if the risk is or worth the reward. Because we also know that this vaccine is fairly immune to Omicron. You know, that's one of those things that came out when Omicron first came out. You know, they found that out in South Africa. It's like, look, vaccine doesn't seem to have much of an impact on this. Okay, then why would I expose that to a 4-year-old?
Who they're worried about getting croup, which is something a 4-year-old could get anyway, regardless of the Omicron variant.
Absolutely, and I will tell you, my son's like, Dad, the school is empty. There are so many kids who are sick right now, but that's not that uncommon. I think the sheer number is a little alarming, but none of them are being hospitalized, right? And again, the only way through this virus is through it. So, and now we'll have better immunity. That's how you get through things sometimes. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But you're not allowed to say that anymore. So, yeah.
Then they go on farther. When you read farther down the article, they go, now, while a number of seasonal viruses, including influenza and respiratory syncytial virus, can lead to croup and an infection of the respiratory tract called bronchitis, it seems like you can add Omicron to that list. They originally said Omicron's creating a new thing because it creates croup, and then later in the article they go, well, we didn't really tell the truth there. There's lots of things that cause the croup. You can just add Omicron to the list.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
one
that's
of
a
those-
scare
and
tactic. That first two paragraphs of that
Well-
thing is hoping that nobody reads past the first two paragraphs, and it scares the hell out of them, and they take their kids to get vaccinated.
It's worse than that. It's clickbait. That's all they want you to do is read the headline and then you react to it. Right? That's all the news media is today. Is read the headline, react, move on, spread it, share it. Now everybody believes that Omicron's killing kids. And that article gets lots and lots of views, and therefore the reporter thinks that they're smarter than you are.
And doctors say it's most likely occurring because it appears Omicron tends to settle higher up in the respiratory tract and doesn't go deeper in the lungs, so it inflames the respiratory tract and creates tiny airwaves where the croup cough is forced through. That's how the croup cough is made.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
And by the way, isn't that better? You know, the
Not deep in my lungs, up
when
higher in my lungs, the respiratory system. That's a lot better.
Well, my doctor's like, don't let it hit your lungs. If it hits your lungs, call me immediately. That's something else. So, you know, and what's different now is our doctors and our physicians and doctors inside the hospitals are able to treat it the way their experience is telling them to treat it. Whereas when COVID first came out, they were like, all right, you're going to put everybody on their belly, you're going to get them on a ventilator as fast as possible. And I really believe that killed far more people than they should have.
Very few people came off a ventilator. Very few people came off a ventilator and lived.
Ever. And by the way, that's an ever thing. That's not just because of COVID. That's because of ever. And there are nurses that have now come out publicly and said, I just refuse to put my patients on their stomach. I refuse to ventilate them. And that I would just, the doctor, and we would discuss it and say, just don't let any administrator come into the room.
Yeah.
And that's what they would do. And it kept people alive. You know, keep them on oxygen, lay them on their back, sit them up when they can, and their survival rate was tenfold.
Well, this article by the way, it's from the Today Show. It's today's news. You know, it's on Yahoo, but it's from the Today Show is the byline, and they're just, you know, the Today Show. A big sponsor of the Today Show, Pfizer.
Of course.
You know, so it's crazy to me how they're propagating this scare tactic. They're using scare tactics to scare parents with these headlines, when in actuality the croup's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and doctors know how to deal with the croup pretty well nowadays.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you just manage it, right? But remember Fauci once said that once we get to 50% immunity with or vaccine,
we should be good.
This virus will go away. Or what? 75, 80% have had 2 shots. Now fully vaccinated is not until you've had like 9
the
shots.
CDC says fully vaccinated is still 2 shots. They still consider that fully vaccinated, but they suggest you continue to get boosters throughout. We need to take a break. Coming up after the break, more with Galen Unall on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
Texas, Alabama, and several other states cannot proceed with their lawsuits over the Biden administration's decision to revoke a permit for the now canceled Keystone XL pipeline project. A Texas federal court ruled Thursday. XL worker Chris Olson on Fox Business when he lost his job.
A guy that runs, heavy equipment when they're, for building pipelines, how's he go get a job in solar?
Judge Jeffrey V. Brown said the court takes the TC Energy at its word that Keystone XL is dead. Because it's dead, any ruling on whether Biden had the authority to revoke the permit would be advisory, end quote. The next time we elect a president, Republicans are ramping up their search for a host city for the party's 2024